right, so like Tana mentioned, well, actually first, I'm Erin Volk. This is Megan Black, in case you've never met us before. So like Tana mentioned, we came to the schools and we met mostly with superintendents, principals, and counselors. So for you guys, part of this is going to be a bit of a brief review. For teachers, this is probably the first time that you're hearing some of this stuff. And so we encourage you, if you have questions, please ask. But we kind of want to give you a roadmap of what's been happening through the spring semester.
Sure. So during our visits, one of the key topics we talked about was the model partnership agreement. Tana mentioned our restructuring, and we went page by page with most of you with our new model partnership agreement. So the model partnership agreement is the signed agreement based on legislation for dual credit. So it is the signed agreement between your high school district and Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. So after all of our visits, we received your signed copies of the model partnership agreement. That went to our Board of Trustees meeting in July. I presented to the Board of Trustees, answered questions from our panel of trustees, and that was approved. So that underlies all of the details. Now, we're going to kind of skim the surface, hit the high points of the key things that relate to you and your school, and some topics that we talk very fluidly about, and it's important that you're familiar with some of the terminology that we use as it relates to dual credit. So within that, it describes also the different course types of dual credit. So there are 4 types of dual credit. We talk about type A, type B, C, D. The majority of you here, those of you that are teachers, are what we call type A teachers. You are a high school teacher teaching within the walls of your high school a dual credit course. Some of your schools may be sending students to one of our campuses to take dual credit. That also includes our synchronous classrooms, which we'll have a demonstration on that today, just to kind of call out a few of our schools that I think are pretty pleased with their experiences with dual credit, and that's Clay City High School, Grayville High School, Red Hill High School, Robinson. Am I forgetting any? Okay, so those schools have your one-room synchronous classroom installed in your building. So those schools are receiving instruction from an IECC faculty member streamed to their school. Installing the synchronous classrooms has been a huge success with our schools, especially those that have a bit of a geographic distance. It's not always easy to get one of our IECC faculty, whether it be to your school or your students coming to one of our facilities. And I would say as a district, that's a big challenge for us, even within our own campuses. There's a hike. I see Erin more on Teams than I do face-to-face because, I'll be honest, there's an hour and a half that separates us. So economically, that's just not sensible for us to see each other that often face-to-face, because that's 3 hours of our day on the road, windshield time, that we can do things more efficiently. So those synchronous classrooms, while have been low to no cost for our schools, have been a huge success in reaching our students in our rural environment within IECC. We share campus classes with one another, so that's helped our own students receive instruction and do some things that we wouldn't normally be able to do because of that sheer geographic distance that separates us. So kind of going back to that model partnership agreement, it also includes our course request process. We work with you on a pretty frequent basis on trying to find new opportunities for our students, and we hope today that you'll be able to connect with some of the individuals that we have here to talk about PACE framework and building those career pathways for our students who are your students as well, find their career path that leads them into a degree program and entering the workforce ready to hit the ground running and be a successful member of our communities. The model partnership agreement also entails the hiring process for all of our dual credit faculty. We know that is a bit of an intense process, but our process is that as you're teaching a dual credit class, you are an employee of IECC as well. That provides a lot of things to you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later today in our faculty breakout sessions, what resources are available. But just know that that is a process for us. So we appreciate your time and diligence on completing those documents and going through that hiring process and working with our local HR representatives to complete those things and make all the connections that you need to be a successful teacher in our classrooms. The Dual Credit Model Partnership Agreement also outlines the support that IECC will provide to you and your students. With our new structure, hopefully you're going to be seeing Erin and I's faces a whole lot more. Other faces that you will see as part of this restructure is seeing Carrie Halbert and Curtis Miller, who are college admission representatives, more frequently. We're going to be in the high schools more often and strategically plan our visits to you so that we're providing good services to you and your students. Good.
So on that, want to add a little bit. One thing that Dr. Gower charged us with coming up to the 3-year degree is purposeful dual credit. We want to see students utilize dual credit in a way that's going to benefit their future. Unfortunately, there can be situations in which some dual credit can cause students some roadblocks down the way. Our job in providing support to you is to help prevent that from happening. There's a couple different ways, financial aid-wise. If they are not successful as a dual credit student, they could need to appeal for financial aid the very first time they become a college freshman. They can actually hit a lifetime Pell limit, and it looks at, or funding looks at, how many courses have they completed to what's required towards their degree. And so these are very rare instances that we see these problems crop up, but part of what we've been charged with is making sure that as IECC, we are good stewards of this program and that we're helping get your students to the right places and to the right classes. So we'll help provide support and guidance there. The other thing is we know you guys continue to get more and more busy with all of the things that you have to do on your side. Part of our job is to stay well versed. We partner with the advising department here at IECC and worry about, we're going to articulation conferences with four-year schools to find out how our classes will go on to other schools like EIU and Carbondale. So we are here to help provide that support and hopefully take a little bit of the load off you in that we can provide guidance for your students. We can provide time in the high school where we're assisting you with that process because it is a big lift. A lot of our counselors work with little resources and a high counselor to student ratio. So we are here to help with that. Additionally, there are resources for your students as a college student. We've got 2 online programs that are phenomenal. We've got Tutor Me. If they are an IECC student with an IECC account, they can log in at any time and they can get help with tutoring for a class. It doesn't have to be their college class, it could be any class. We've also got Timely Care, which is a mental health services. Students can get, I think it's 6 free meetings with a counselor. It's either a semester or a year, and I apologize, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's some resources that are actually out there for your students too, and so we want to provide information to you and to your students about what that looks like.
I'm going to kind of skip through that. Okay, that's okay. We got a little ahead of ourselves. Okay, so look, Tana mentioned the 3-year degree program, and it is one of our initiatives, but most importantly, it provides direction and guidance. I think in a lot of our meetings we use the term guardrails. Sometimes we think that, why do we need to take a dual credit classes? Well, you take a dual credit class because it's a dual credit. Well, yes, that's true. However, quality, meaningful dual credit that applies towards a degree pathway is most important. Okay, taking a lot of dual credit hours, they accumulate. Sometimes we don't know the negative impacts of accumulation of hours until 2 to 3 years when they're outside of your building and on one of our campuses, or maybe at a 4-year institution, and the students have accumulated hours, which does impact their financial aid. Erin mentioned that. So the 3-year degree program, and there's a handout in your swag bags that we handed out this morning that, okay, Erin, we'll get that to you. We don't have it in the bags. During your meetings, we talked about the 3-year degree. So the booklets that we gave at the meetings do outline that. So the 3-year degree program, 3 years, think junior year plus senior year plus 1 full year at an IECC campus would equal an associate degree for a student. The 3-year degree program we currently have outlined is based on an associate in science and arts, which is a transfer degree program for any student. 3-year degree can also be built upon for CTE programs. That's something that we're currently working on, providing those pathways. So it's not exclusive to transfer students. However, we began the program with coursework that applies towards many, many students that is very versatile. The courses that we have chosen in the 3-year degree program were carefully chosen based upon the knowledge that we have from our academic advising staff, so that students are taking courses that apply towards their degree, regardless of what that degree might be. Now, specific courses that are needed for a degree program can be taken on one of our campuses. So that's why it's important: English composition, composition analysis, speech, some type of science, humanities, fine arts. So these are the guardrails that lead a student to taking courses from their junior year, their senior year, plus 1 full year at IECC. As we learn more about courses that transfer well, that apply towards degree programs, the courses in the 3-year degree can expand, but the courses that you see outlined put students on that pathway to completing their coursework in a timely manner. As you think about your high school, you have a lot of courses taught as type A dual credit. Some schools may have very few. So that's why the combination of the various types of dual credit is important. Students may take a lot in your high school building, whereas other students may come to one of our campuses to earn those credit hours. We built it in that format so that any student, regardless of their high school geographic location, can follow this 3-year degree pathway. Some students may achieve more, may have more credit hours than what other students might have, but it's still important to keep the 3-year degree pathway in mind so that the courses taken are well chosen, apply towards their degree pathway, so that when they come to a campus or go on to the 4-year, they are on track and have appropriate hours that are not excessive amounts of hours that don't count towards that degree program.
So with our online classes, we look for your students to have a space in their schedule during the day, whether that equates to a study hall or a listed time or class on there. We do have some guardrails on online because we want to ensure that it is actually dual credit happening during the school day, during the school year. Synchronous is the other option there, and depending on your student, one may be better for them than the other. Online a lot of times requires students to do some self-management of tracking their deadlines, staying on task, staying on track, and making sure that they are progressing through their class, versus a synchronous where, yes, the teacher's not there, but they are having regular interactions with your teacher or our teacher every 2 to 3 days a week. And so synchronous is something that we've slowly been expanding. I believe it was a grant through the FDA that we were able to start those classrooms. We typically put out a list of options available for synchronous, and then we usually send to 1 or 2, very occasionally when necessary, 3 schools at a time. And part of that has to do with classroom management for the person teaching and being able to see on all the technology. We do have synchronous classrooms here at OCC. You'll get a chance to take a peek at that later today. And then, of course, type B and D are also with our faculty. It's just where it's happening at. So if it's a type B class, they are at the high school. If it's a type D class, they are coming to us on our campus. So every school has kind of a different mix of these classes. One thing that changed with the new model partnership this year, we went from a flat fee a few years ago to a by credit hour fee. And then now we actually do have a tiered cost structure. We've got that information available if anybody's interested, but it kind of goes along with those guardrails of trying to help keep students on the right kind of path and taking the right kind of classes. We sometimes will get students that I like this one teacher, I want to take 2, 3, 4 classes with the same teacher, but it becomes not beneficial at a certain point. So those are to help kind of keep them on the guide rails along with advising and that kind of thing.
Last summer, I believe it was, Erin and I and Tana was in a different role in this Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. We developed a teacher onboarding course. Initially, we, as an institution, had a onboarding course for our adjunct faculty and found great success with that to help teachers become acquainted with people and offices and services that they might not normally have known as much about as they did whenever they completed that course. So for any new dual credit teacher, and actually existing teacher as well, we've developed an onboarding course to help ease that learning curve when you are becoming more acquainted with IECC. We know we sometimes talk in terminology, and we have services available to your students that you might not be aware of. And so that onboarding course is an offering that we have for our teachers delivered through our Canvas learning management system that is self-paced. You'd complete it on your own, and to acquaint you with all the responsibilities as a dual credit teacher that you will be asking of you, but also connect you with the people and the faces and the services that our students can really benefit from as a dual credit student. A lot of times a high school student doesn't know what Canvas is and how it can be utilized. As a dual credit student, they are a college student, and so we want them to become familiar with the terminology and the services that we provide to them that can help them be successful in their courses. That course is, like I said, it's a free course. You actually will register for that. So if you're interested in taking that onboarding course, Erin and I can connect with you. We offer that every single semester, and it is self-paced. It's a non-credit course, and like I said, we've had lots of success, and we encourage you to take advantage of that and familiarize yourself with all the services available to you and your students.
So we do have sometimes, especially for you teachers, throughout the semester where we will be asking you to do some housekeeping for us. I'm going to have Amber over here give us a wave. Amber is our Associate Dean of Admissions and Records. Lots of title changes have been happening. But Amber works with our records departments, and they do things like first day rosters, 10-day rosters, midterms, and final grades. What we do is we do send out emails. We try to utilize your high school email, but a lot of times because you're an employee, it pops up with your IECC email whenever we go to send this out. One thing that we would highly encourage you to do is go into your IECC email and forward it to your school email. That way you're not having to keep track of logging into it. You're not having to remember, oh my gosh, I gotta go check this. I don't know when I'm expecting this email to come. It will forward directly to you. So we would encourage you to take advantage of that. We also are happy to help either as you're working on it or as you maybe create a new class with your syllabus and your credit hour calculator. One thing that Roger has been instrumental in with us working in dual credit is he has helped us kind of keep track a lot of the legislation that's happening and the amendments to the Dual Credit Quality Act. One thing that he will tell you that we've talked about a lot is, I think he calls it a three-legged stool, essentially. It's looking at the quality or qualifications of the student, quality or qualification of the teacher and quality or qualification of the class. And so we are working to partner with you and start having syllabi and credit hour calculator, these things that we have to do for HLC, Higher Learning Commission, which is what accredits IECC as a whole, so that we are seeing everybody using our syllabi template. And that is twofold. One, yes, accreditation, very important. But the other thing, with the template, it makes it similar across all the classes. So whether they're taking a class at your high school and they have your syllabus, or they're taking a class with Cindy Boyce, who teaches an ethics class online, their syllabus is going to at least have the same similar format, and they can navigate it more easily. They're not just scrambling looking for information. So as we ask you to kind of come alongside us with that, we are here to provide support. We'll help walk you through that process. We're happy to give feedback. We're happy to sit down with you. Part of our restructuring was opening up Megan and I to visit you at the school, to work with you more at the school. Before, it was a piece of our job and there were lots of other moving parts, and there were 4 of us. So when they decided to do the restructure, Megan and I came over to Dual Credit, and then the other 2 have jobs tied to our dean's offices. And so that has released us to spend more time with you on your campuses as part of this. So please use us as a resource. Let us know when you have questions about those things. I know it's asking you to do a little bit extra. Getting it switched over will help try to make that process as easy as possible. And usually once you've got it developed, there's not a lot of changes to be made. You can kind of roll it from semester to semester. But that is kind of the key part of why we're doing that, is to meet with that quality we're being asked to keep from the state, and also our accreditation, and to make things easier for our students.
So as Erin mentioned, and I've mentioned previously, you'll see our faces a lot more this fall, this spring. One of the things that is outlined in the Model Partnership Agreement that we'll be rolling out is a course review process. And this is new. The Dual Credit Quality Act, as well as Higher Learning Commission, requires us to ensure that the instruction that is happening on a campus, the instruction that is happening in a high school, the instruction that's happening at a satellite location is consistent. It is following the same master syllabus. In order for us to ensure that quality, we start with student qualifications, test scores, grade point averages. Counselors, you've worked with Erin and I to see that your students are qualified. Now, the next step is what's happening in the classroom. How do we as an institution ensure that the students are getting the same instruction as what they would on a campus? Another part of that is you take an English composition class, for example, in the high school. Then you come to campus and a student takes composition and analysis. We as an institution have to ensure that the student foundationally has taken that composition class and is ready for the next required course. The prerequisite is fulfilled and they're ready for the next step. And in order to ensure that that is happening, that quality instruction is happening, we're visiting your schools, we're visiting your classrooms. We want to see what's happening. We're looking at it as a way to inquire, see what's happening. Sometimes we learn from you because faculty, you're experts in your discipline as well. You're a qualified faculty similar to our faculty on our campus. One of the goals of today for our faculty and for your high school faculty is to connect with one another, see faces. Sometimes you receive emails from someone asking for assessments, and I don't know about you, but it's difficult to communicate with somebody that you don't really know who they are. You see their email and that's that person at OCC, and she's asking me for my rubric and assessment for my English composition class. There's reasons we're asking you for those things. Yes, we know that it is a responsibility as a teacher, but the reason we're doing that is to ensure quality instruction, to ensure similar experiences for our students, and so that we know our students are ready to go to maybe our next level course, or maybe they're going to a 4-year institution. We have to prepare them to be successful at that next step. So we're going to talk about assessment a little bit more today with Kelly Payne. She'll be here to talk about that, what it means for IECC and what we're doing within assessment. But most importantly, we want to connect you with the faces or similar faculty figures in your discipline so that, you know, when we're asking for things, you know, there's a human behind that name, that signature on the email, because we are your partner and you are our partners. We want to work together to ensure student success. I think we can all agree that that's number one here. That's why we're all in this room. That's likely why we're all in education, is for student success.
So this last one down here, I hope doesn't give people pause, but just to touch on this so that you kind of understand what we're saying whenever we say course review by IECC. This is in no way, shape, or form tied to your evaluation through the school district. Actually, in the model partnership, it specifically states this cannot be tied to your evaluation at the high school. All we're going to do is come in, we're going to provide a checklist prior to our visit. It is going to be just kind of okay, we need to go through and do that quality assurance piece. And so this is where we'll be looking at the syllabus, the credit hour calculator. We're not looking to come in and tell you, oh, you're doing everything wrong. We in no shape or sense of the word want to do that. We are just trying to work towards that quality assurance that we're required to do. And so we will be very open with you on the process. We are looking for that process to start coming up later in October, and we'll be sharing more information out with you about that. But it is in no way an evaluation, cannot be tied to your evaluation. Did you? Okay. So just the last thing we want to touch on is career pathways. So for some of your students, a associate's degree or a 4-year degree are in their future. Dual credit, while we've got the 3-year degree, that is for transfer pathways. There are other pathways. We've got career pathways. And so this is where we want to tie classes that directly link to our CTE programs. Some of the areas being offered, we've got welding, we've got agriculture, we've got industrial maintenance, CNA, fire science, automotive tech, broadband telecom. There's a variety of ways in which these are being taught at schools. We have some classes that you have hired faculty and staff that are teaching these things, and there are some cases in which we're partnering with you, maybe to offer that class at our campus where your student comes and participates in one of these programs. If you don't have something like this, or you're interested in seeing where we can find some alignment, that is something we're interested in talking about with you, because we know that there's so many different ways students can be headed in the future, and it doesn't just need to be the transfer. The transfer was, or the 3-year degree was created for that pathway. So we do want to serve students in other options and other directions. So we also have the career pathway option. I think the last thing we just want to add, and we touched on a little bit, you may be seeing our names pop up on emails before, where you would have seen Tim Zimmer or Amy Tarr. As part of the handout we gave you, we identified the 8 schools that we each partner with. However, our goal is to support you. So we had an example where Megan happened to be out of the office, and I met with Edwards County this spring. We are flexible. You can definitely talk with or work with either of us. We work, like Megan said, closely together. We're on teams fairly regularly. We're in contact. So if you can't get a hold of one of us, and that's who serves your school, feel free to reach out to the other person. We will collaborate in getting back to you.
Thank you, too. Now, the Model Partnership Agreement is a document that's 20-some pages long, right? It has a lot of information in it, but it also has a lot of statutory language in it. The creation of dual credit is as much statutory and rule-based, rules that were made by the Community College Board and the State Board of Education in concert. And we tried to put that into that document, and I think Erin and Megan did a great job of an overview of what's in that document. Before we move on, though, I want to see if there are any questions, any particular questions at all about any of the topics that they brought up. If something that they mentioned about the model partnership agreement kind of sparked a question in your mind, anybody have any questions at all? Because we went through that with administrators, but we didn't necessarily do that with each one of the type A teachers that we have across our district. So we want to make sure, first of all, that everyone understands that this document is a result of statutory and rule language that we really have to implement in order to be in compliance with law and ICCB rules. There are some things in it that I don't like, to be honest with you. Some things in it you probably don't like. Some ways it's limiting, but it's statutory. And I think that's important for us to understand. So any questions? One final call for questions. Okay, good. If you think of something later, don't hesitate to stop any of us and ask. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this summit and the resources that are helping us make this summit available come from a grant that we received from the Illinois Community College Board. In that grant, there are also resources available for us to share with you related to some of what I believe to be the more positive aspects of the model partnership agreement. And that is that we can help provide professional development funds for your instructors, okay, if there are funds needed or resources needed. If to achieve our common goal is to make sure that students in your school district that take a dual credit course are prepared in a manner that will allow them to be successful as they move through their pathway. If there's something missing, if there's something we have that you don't, and it's something that we can help you acquire, we have some resources in this grant that will help pay for those things, okay? And as Erin and Megan travel the circuit here of our 16 high schools, we may discover some of those things. And we may discover it in conversations with your instructors, with your guidance counselors. We don't want to send any money back to ICCB, bottom line, right? They send it here for us to use to enhance what we do for our students. And we want to use every nickel. CFO Ryan Hawkins isn't here, so even if we go $100 over, it'll be okay. We want to use it. Yes, question? Now, we have resources that can help with some of that. We just need to have the conversation to be specific about what it is. It's really hard with consumables sometimes because grants are meant for one-time spending more than they are for consumables year after year after year, right? But one-time spending can be a textbook. Yeah. We have resources available to purchase textbooks so that the textbook that you're using at your school is the same textbook that we are using for the courses here. They're not considered. Now, consumables might be, paper and ink pens and things that really, grants aren't really meant to pay for because those are recurring every year. But yes. 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 Talk to Megan and Erin. We will make resources available to the most flexible extent possible under the terms of the grant. We want you to have the materials that will allow for you to provide the same experience for those kids in the high school, right, as we are in our college. And part of that maybe is this relationship idea that I think is the underpinning of all this. We want you to make sure you understand who it is you're working with, who your partner is on our campus. So later today, and we'll review this in a little while, you will have the opportunity by subject area to talk to our instructors that teach that course that you're teaching, okay? And that to us is just the beginning of a relationship we hope that continues, that is part of this support system. Resources are one thing, right? Physical things we can buy, but what's really priceless is having that instructor, having that relationship with you that you can email or call and say, hey, is this what you meant, or whatever, right? It's a pretty heavy responsibility when you think about what you do at the high school level with a junior or senior. It really is. They are college students. It was said earlier. They're college students, and you are a college instructor. And so whatever it is that they are learning from you is supporting their college career when they're sophomore. Well, hopefully we get them lined up when they're sophomores, but especially their junior and senior year in high school. The 3-year degree idea, that is kind of this top level. When we can begin to identify for students their sophomore year and into their junior and senior year of high school an intentional path for their future, it takes a lot of the other problems students face away their junior and senior year, because they have a purpose, they have hope, they're working on something that's meaningful to them, and that's really what power we have with this. We have that much power. So this connection that we're making today and that we're going to build on all year will hopefully provide all of us, with the type of system here that will plug a kid, right? It sounds like it's some kind of a mechanical process, but a human being into a process is going to make them better and give them hope and a career, and we can do it in a lot of different ways too, because we have work study programs. We have Rob Jackman is here. You probably want to talk to Rob about the programs that he supports through IECC. We just have a lot of ways to do it. But for now, hopefully that connection starts later today. We're going to take our break. I don't know if we're close to break time. Yes.
Sorry. Shannon, you reminded me of this. Thank you. Just so you know, if you've never been aware, dual credit instructors are eligible, already hired on to where you could be an adjunct instructor for us, whether that be an online class, evenings, weekends, summers, whatever the case may be. So if that's ever something that's of interest to you, please reach out, let us know. We'll connect you with the right people. And then if it's okay with Roger, since we're running a little ahead this morning, I would like to have the IECC people come up and just introduce themselves that are here today, so that you can kind of know who you have available to network with over this last break. So IECC people, if you would make your way to the stage.
You'll see a lot of them later in sessions too.
Hi, my name is Jamie Carmen. I'm the Director of Academic Advising for all 4 campuses. So once the dual credit students graduate, if they come to IECC, they'll see one of our academic advisors on whichever campus they decide to go to.
Hi, I'm Cindy Boyce, and I am the Dean of Instruction for STEM, Arts, and Social Sciences for all 4 IECC campuses. My home base is the Lincoln Trail campus, so that's where you'll see me most of the time, but I am on the other 3 campuses twice a month. Thanks.
My name is Amber Malone, and I serve as the Associate Dean for Admissions and Records for IECC. So we have a records person on each of our campuses, and they are the ones who will email you when it's time for your first day, 10-day midterm, and grades to be entered. This is very important for us because at that point in time, we make sure that your school is billed correctly. So your attendance decides how much is billed to your high school. So I know the folks in your main office really want you to make sure that attendance is accurate.
I'm Rob Jackman. I'm the Perkins Project Coordinator for IECC. I'm based out of Wabash Valley, but I help out at each one of the locations. So anything from nursing to welding is considered CTE. I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
I'm Carrie Halbert. I'm college admissions representative. My home base is at Frontier, but I travel all around to all the different high schools in the district. Curtis is the other one, and we kind of split our high schools, 8 and 8. Yes, same as theirs. So yes, we just travel around all the different high schools.
So, like Carrie said, I'm Curtis Miller. We split our regions the same way as dual credit, just to make things easy. So I am with Erin's schools, and Carrie is with Megan's schools. So in your pamphlet, you can kind of see what schools we deal with, and I think we've probably contacted most of the counselors, but any of your teachers, if you have any questions about any of our events that we're putting on for recruitment or anything like that, you can get a hold of us as well.
Robert Kahn, Dean of Instruction of the Meta Majors Business, Advanced Technologies, Education, and Human Services, and I'm based in Mount Carmel, Wabash Valley College, but I have programs on each campus, so I travel a little bit like everybody else up here. So thanks for coming today.
Okay, we're ready for a break. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I missed your name. You said your first name was Roger, but
Eddie.
Roger Edit, yes. Yes.
I'm the school superintendent, and I've been floating around IECC for about 5 years now, helping with. I was actually president of OCC for a year, and president at LTC for a year. So I'm like that penny that just keeps showing up from time to time. That's my name. Please take a nice break. When you get back, we're going to hear from Josh Stafford. You're going to love his message.